Okay, Ohio gozaimasu. Konnichiwa.
Hello, Professor.
Minasan o genki desu ka?
Yes, Professor.
O genki desu ka?
Yes, Sensei.
Yes.
日本語上手ですか？
はい、上手です。
上手じゃない先生。
多分、絶対私より上手と思います。何年ぐらい日本語を勉強したことがありますか
？1年
?1 年
1年ぐらい。
1年で、1日は何時間ぐらいですか？授業は何時間ぐらいですか？
4時半か。
4時半、すごい。Okay, that's great. I'm very jealous. Okay, let's start. So we have to do. Okay, first thing is, I think last time we used a little bit of R, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we want to, and then I said that there's this other way to use R, and that was with a different software, a different way of doing it. So let's try that right now. So let me share my screen. And let's go to here and here and here. Okay, so you can see my screen, I guess. So what we want to do is use something called RStudio. So now I think that everybody already installed R, but now we want to use it in a sort of more easy way. So let's type in RStudio. And some students had trouble with doing this on the Mac. And somebody suggested maybe don't use the latest version, so there are older versions. But I mean, I know so many people use RStudio on Macs, so it definitely works. But I don't know about, some glitch or something, some little problem. I don't know why. But anyway, here's RStudio. Let's click download RStudio. And then we want this free desktop version. Now there's, okay, so you click download, and there are, Mac and Windows and Linux and so on. So if you want, you could try using an older version of RStudio. There are many older versions, so they probably update them every 3 or 4 months. So there's, many older versions. But anyway, I'm going to use this one here. So you just click on here to download it. So go ahead and download it. And once you get it downloaded, I don't know how, is it still downloading for you now? Or did it finish downloading yet?
No, it's quite slow. It's still
slow.
downloading.
Okay, let's give it it's a pretty big file actually. It's 171 megabytes. While it's downloading, let me just show you one thing in Excel. Let's take a look at this in Excel. Suppose I have some data in Excel. Let's say I have a cost and I have like 30 and 20 and 50 and let's see, what is that? 30, that's 50, 90, let's say 75, 75, and what's that? I want 35. Okay, so suppose I have that data. How do I get the sum of this data? So I can just click in this cell here, and suppose I want to put the sum, and then or total, and then I click here, the auto sum button up here at the top. Okay, so I just click that, and it gives me the sum, and the sum is 200. Okay, is everyone okay with that?
Mhm.
Okay, now suppose I want to know the relative frequency, or the relative. Like this is 30 out of 200, right? So how do I do that? I have to type equals 30 slash 200. Do everyone understand what I'm doing? Equals 30 out of, what's this gonna equal, by the way? If I do 30 out of 200, what's that gonna be? I'll give you a clue. What's 30 out of 100? What is 30 out of 100?
0.3.
30 out of 100 is 0.3, right?
3.
So what's 30 out of 200? Going to be half of that, right? So it's going to be 0.15, right? Okay, so it's 0.15. Now, suppose I want to copy that to here. So I want 20 out of 200. How can I do that? What do I need to do in this box?
You select the first cell.
So I could do this, equals 20 slash 200, right? And that will give me that one, which is 0.1, right? But I don't want to do it that way. I want to click in here and drag down, so I can do it all of them at one time. So what's going to happen if I do that? If I click here and drag down? Let's see.
All over 200.
Right, let's try it. So it's going to be 15, I'm sorry, it's going to be 30 over 200, 20 over 200, 40 over 200. Is that right? It's going to give me all the percentages, right? But it won't work, actually. Let's try it. Didn't work. Why not? Let's check. What's in here? G6, that's what we want, G6, divided by what?
G11.
G11 is nothing. It didn't work, right? What's this one? Whoops, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. What's this one?
G12.
G7 divided by G12, that didn't work either. So when you drag down like this, what happens? When I drag down, take this one, which is G5 over G10, when I drag down, what happens? The 5 will become what? In the next cell, the 5 will become what? 5 is going to become a 6, and but the 10 is going to become what?
11.
11. I don't want that. I want this 5 to become a 6, but I don't want the 10 to become 11. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then if I keep dragging, that's going to keep happening. When you drag down like this, the numbers increase. The cell numbers increase. By the way, if you drag to the right, the numbers don't increase, but the letters increase. but I'm dragging down. So the numbers will increase. Which number do I want to increase and which number do I not want to increase?
G10. Just leave it all like same, but
Well,
Wait.
there's two numbers here. There's a 5 and a 10, and I want to drag this down. Which number do I want to increase as I drag down? Which number do I not want to increase as I drag down?
G5.
I want the 5 to increase, but I don't want the what to increase?
10.
The 10, right? Does everyone agree with that? I do want the 5 to increase, right? When I go down to here, I want it to be G6. When I go down to here, I want it to be G7. So I want the 5 to keep increasing, but I don't want the what to keep increasing.
10.
10.
Okay.
Okay, so the way you can do that is you put a $ in front of any number you don't want to increase. Now, Excel won't think of that $ as having any meaning in terms of the value. It's just a signal to Excel that when you do this dragging down, that it shouldn't increment that number. So watch. I'll put a $ in front of the 10, like that, and hit enter. Okay, so you see I still got the same value, 15%, right? Everyone see that?
Yes.
It didn't change anything in terms of the calculation of the value, but watch what happens when I drag down. So what is this? It's still G10. This is still G10. This is still G10. This is still G10. Okay? So that's what you have to do. Someone said something about pressing the F4 key, but I don't know about that. Anyway, this is what I know to do, is to put the $ in front of that so it won't change. Now, if I had done this and put the $ in front of this also, then what's going to happen? What's going to happen when I drag down now?
The answer would be
0.15.
0.15.
That neither the 5 nor the 10 will change. Okay? So that's what the $ does. So that's useful because oftentimes you want to do something like this. Okay, hopefully you've got RStudio. So you just click on it, open it up, and just install it. Just accept all the defaults. Just install it. I'm not going to do it because I already have it. So just click OK, 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 OK. Okay, let's go to open it up now. I hope maybe you have it installed. RStudio. So when mine opens up, it might look a little different than when yours opens up because I personalized mine a little bit. So that's mine. Now, if you want to personalize yours, is everybody ready? Anybody not ready yet? Okay, so you go to Tools and Global Options here to personalize it. And you get this. And you click on Appearance. And then here in the Editor theme, you can change it. To some other color. Okay, so you can change that. You can also change the font size, the font, and this thing, I don't really know what this does, but you can change this. Okay, so you can change that. And then, I forget what this does, code. Anyway, let's not worry about that. And then the pane layout. So you don't have to do it the way I have it, but I put the console here and the source here. So that's what I have here and here. And then for here, you should put the environment. And then you want to show environment history, connections, build, and VCS. It's not absolutely necessary that you do this, but and then in here, files, plots, packages. So you can have files, plots, packages,
Esther,
help, and viewer.
Can you?
Yes?
Would you mind going from the top?
Okay. So you go to Tools and Global Options. Okay?
Okay.
And then you go to Appearance.
Uh-huh.
And then you can change the color here, so on. And then you can change the font size. And then you go to Pane Layout, which is here on the left side. And I suggest Console, Source, Environment, and Files. And maybe have these checked, like this. And then when you did that, then click Apply. Obviously, there are other things you can change here, but this is all we need.
Okay.
And then just click Apply.
That's the page layout. Okay, okay.
Okay, everybody there? Okay, good. Now, sorry? Hello? Okay. All right, now remember that we did some stuff last time. So if you remember, that sound is, I can't understand your voice. Your connection is not good. If you have a question and you don't have a good connection, you could try typing it in the chat. Although I prefer that you ask it. If your connection is not good, you can use the chat. So I think now our sound is trying to talk, but I can't hear it. So if you want to, you can ask it through the chat. Now our sound. Okay, let's see what it is. Somebody put something in the chat. Let's see. Chat.
That was earlier. You don't have to go through it anymore if it's not necessary.
Okay, but somebody else asked something.
Okay.
Okay, so somebody didn't understand the Excel? Okay, well, anyway, that's all right. We'll do it. It's not important, actually. So this is better. This is better, though. So let's look at this. So we did something like this. For example, last time we did 5 plus 9, and I hit Enter, like that, right? And what we did last time, if you want to do what we did last time, you do it up here in this panel up here. There are 4 panels here. In this panel up here, you do what we did last time. That's called the console. So up here, it's called the console. Or if you want to do 5 minus 51 and hit Enter, you get that. If you want to do 5 times 6 or 8, you get that. Okay? And we also did something like this last time. We said X equals C 1, comma 2, comma 3, comma 4, comma 5, and we hit enter. Everyone remember that? And now if you want to see what X is, you just type X and hit enter. Okay? And we can, so why don't you try and create a list like this, like X, but that has the numbers, has these numbers, 5, 9, 3, 4, 7. So create a list like that, like X, call it Z, but it doesn't have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it has 5, 9, 3, 4, 7. So try and create such a Z variable. Now, if I just type this in, it's going to give me an error. Watch. It doesn't know what to do. It does. I can't do that. But if I want to create the Z that I just asked you to do, I have to do this. C, open, and then 5, comma. You have to use the commas. 9, comma, 3, comma, 4, comma, 7. If I do that and I hit enter, I get Z, and then I can type in Z to see what I have. And it's 5, 9, 3, 4, 7. Now you might have made a mistake like this. Oh, one more thing. I don't know if I mentioned it last time, but on the keyboard, on your keyboard, you have these, hopefully these up arrow. If I hit the up arrow, you can scroll through the previous commands that you typed. So if I hit it now, you'll see Z. If I hit it again, you'll see Z, that thing that I typed before. If I hit it again, you'll see that I typed before that. If I hit it again, you'll see the X that I typed before that and that before that, okay? So you can do this with the up arrow key. So I'll do that here. Z, maybe I might do something like forget to have a closed parentheses like that. Then you'll get an error. Or actually, in this case, it says not an error. It says you didn't finish the statement yet. It gives you a chance to finish it. So I could do that, actually. Okay. But let's suppose I forgot to do this parentheses here. Oh, by the way, if you want to scroll through a part of your command, you can use the right and left arrow key. So I'll hit my left arrow key right now. There. I'll hit it again. There. Left arrow key again. There. Left again. 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 Now I'm going to hit the backspace. So that's going to give me an error also. This is going to give me an error if I hit enter. Okay, it doesn't know what to do with that either. So the correct statement is that one. Okay? Any questions about this? Okay, let's try this. X plus Z. Anybody have any idea what that's going to give me before I do it? I think we did it last time.
We become 6, 11, 6.
Yeah, right. It's going to multiply 1 times 5, 2 times 9, 3 times 3. Let me just show you again. Let's do X, let's do Z, and then X plus Z. So 1 plus 5, oops, I did Z plus Z. X plus Z. So it's 1 plus 5 is 6, 2 plus 9 is 11, and so on. So how about if I do this? X times Z. What's that going to do? going to do this, right?
518.
And how about if I do z times z? What's that going to do? It's going to give me the square of each element, right? Going to give me the square of each element. Z times z. Yeah. And how about if I do z slash z x? What's that going to do? No, let's do z. Yeah, okay, z slash x. No, sorry. Let's do z slash z. What's that going to give me?
1.
1, 1, 1, 1, 1.
All ones, right? And how about z slash x? So that's going to give me something else. Okay? Everyone understand?
Yes, Professor.
How about if I do, we don't know too much about this. Oh, how about this? Let's try, what's this? What do you think this might be? What do you think that is? What is that second thing?
Pi.
I.
I.
Pi, right. That's the way of writing the letter pi, the Greek letter pi. So let's try this. So what did it do? Pi, let's see, what is pi?
3.14.
Yeah, that's pi. So we're taking z, which is that, times pi. Right? Everyone get that?
Yes.
Yes, Professor.
Oh, let's try this one. Y equals C 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's try that. That's Y. So what does this give me? Y times pi. It's going to give me 1 times pi, 2 times pi, 3 times pi, 2 times pi, 1 times pi, right? Is that clear? So let's
Yes,
see what that is.
Professor.
So 1 times pi is that, 2 times pi is that, 3 times pi is that, 2 times pi is that, and 1 times pi is that, right? Okay, just for fun, let's try this. I don't know, maybe you don't think it's fun, but sine of y times pi. What is that? Well, let's try it. Okay, that's awful. But do you remember what the sign of 0 is? Sorry, do you remember what the sign of pi is? Oh, let's not worry about it. Anyway, well, let's not worry about it. But anyway, you can take a vector and put it into the sine function. That's what I did. So I could do, or to make it simpler, I could do sine of y. Looks like that. Whoops, sorry. No, sorry. Like that. Okay, anyway, you can put a vector into a function. That's all I wanted to show you. Now, how about this? What's this going to do? What's that give me?
3.
3, because what was x again? That was x, so the mean of that is 3. Everyone follow this?
Yes, Professor.
Okay, now we can do stuff like this. Let's try plot x. So let's try that. So this is what we get. We get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's try plot z. Like that. Okay, what do we get? What was z again? Z was 5, 9, 3, 4, 7. So we get 5, 9, 3, 4, 5, 9, 3, 4, this is 4 here, 7. This axis stops here because the lowest number was 3, so it doesn't show us all the way down to 0. Okay, so everyone follow this?
Yes.
Let's try plotting, what was y? Now let's try plotting y. Plot y. Okay, I guess y was 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Anybody confused?
No, Professor.
Okay, now suppose I don't know how to use the plot function very well, which I don't know how to use it very well. So you can get help on any function by typing a question mark in front of the function name. So plot. Now it's going to try and put in brackets there, but I think, well, anyway, I'll just hit enter. Okay, now I'm going to hit enter. Okay, so now R is not so easy to understand their help, and like this one is not so easy, because here it's saying there are actually 2 different plot functions, but this is the one I want. So I'm going to click on this top one here, called the default scatter plot function. So I'm going to do that. And then it's pretty hard to read the help. Now you can move this up. You can drag this up like that. And but basically, here's the plot function, and it says you can put in an X, and you can also put in a Y. So let's try that out. Let's try doing plot X, comma, Y. Now, I mean, it doesn't have, I could have done X, comma, Z. Maybe I'll do X, comma, Z. X, comma, Z. Okay, so I have an X variable and I have a Z variable. So I'm going to try this out. Let's try it out. Okay, so we see that when, let's just remember what is X and what is Y. Here's X and here's Y. I'm sorry, Z. So we have 1, comma 5 should be one of the points. So here it is, 1, comma 5. Then we have 2, comma 9 should be the next point, 2, comma 9. Then we have 3, comma 3. 3, comma 3 is here. Then we have 4, comma 4. 4, comma 4 is here. Then we have 5, comma 7. 5, comma 7 is here. Does everyone understand this?
Yes,
So
Professor.
we're plotting X versus Z. Now, if you click back up here on help, up here, we can go back to that help file. So there, besides just putting in an X and a Z, there's a lot of other stuff you can adjust in here. All from here to here, and I don't know what all this stuff is. Except I know that I know how to give, let me click back here on plots again. I know how to give labels to the X and Z axis. So let me try that. So let me do that again. And then I know there's a few things that I remember. And one is this, X lab. That means the X label. I can label the X axis. So let me call it time, for example. Okay, and then I can also label the Y axis. And let me call this maybe, okay, so first of all, it's Y lab. And then let me call it cost. Or cost. Or let me call it cost of iPhone. Okay, like that. Okay, now if I rerun this again, just hit enter again. So now I get the labels time and cost of iPhone. So if you want to change the label of the x-axis, you can use this entry, x label. And if you want to change the label of the y-axis, you can use this. Now let's go back to the help again. Click back here on help. So there's actually many things that you can change. So I can see somewhere in here, here's the X label. So that's one thing you can change. Here's the Y label. That's something else you can change, but there are many other things that you can change as well. Okay, does everyone understand? So I don't know what all these things are. I don't know what all these things are, but they kind of, they explain what they are here. So if I want to see what the X label is, here's X label, and it says it's a label for the X-axis. And if I want to know what the Y label is, it says it's this. Okay? Now, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the help file, they give you some examples that you can run. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the help file, they give you some examples that you can run. So let's try all the way down here, examples. So let's try some of those just to see what this looks like. So first, they have some sample data sets already available in R. One of them is called CARS, C-A-R-S. So let's see what that looks like. So if you just type CARS, you can see what it looks like. You type in CARS, and then you hit enter. So try that. So if you scroll up to the top of that, you can see that there are two columns there. That the first column is not a column, it's just a label. The first just means the first row, second row, third row, and so on. Okay, so the first column is speed, and the second column is distance. Everyone get it?
Yes, Professor.
Yes.
So that's already in there. We don't have to type that in or anything. We just type cars, and it's there. Now, if you just want to get the first column, not all of the columns, well, you can. There's a special way to do that. You do this. You type cars because you're working with the cars data set, and then you type $ and the name of the column that you want. So if you just want, what did I say? The first one was what?
Speed.
Speed. So if you just want speed, you type $ and speed, S-P-E-E-D, like that. And then if you type that, it gives you all of the speed data. What's the last speed data here? Here. What's the last speed data?
25.
25.
That's the 25 here. Okay, the first speed data was 4. Okay? Okay, now I'm going to ask, let's see, can anybody figure out what this 18 is for? It's not part of the data. It's not part of the CARS data. Can anybody figure out what it is?
Median.
Nope.
Row number 18.
What?
Row number 18.
Nope. Oh, yes, sorry, you're right. Row number 18. Yeah, where is row number 18? Let's see. Here's row number 1. Here's row number 2. So row number 18 is here. What's the speed for row number 18? 13, right? Let's see what we got. Yeah. So this just tells you that this is the 18th one. So it displays it all like a big long list, and then it helps you a little bit by telling you this is the 18th one, and this one here is the 35th one. It's just a little hint or a little clue as to where you are in the data. Okay, does everyone get that? Okay. So how did we get that again? We did car speed. How about if you wanted the distance variable? How would you get that?
Car dollar speed. Oh, distance.
D-I-S-T. That was its name. You type that, you get that. Okay? So suppose I want to plot the speed versus the distance. Because I just did this plot. Let's see, what was the last plot we did? This one, or let's say even simpler, that one. So we just did that plot, right? Let's see that again. Okay, everyone remember that? We got this kind of plot. So we had X versus Z, right? Does everyone understand that? X versus Z. We did plot XZ. We got X versus Z. Everyone get that?
Yes.
So suppose I want speed versus distance. How do I do that? How do you think I do that?
Plot bracket cars $sign speed.
Right. Plot, bracket, cars,
Cars
$sign, speed, comma, what?
cars $sign distance.
$sign, D-I-S-T, right? Okay, so let's see what happens. Okay, does everyone get that?
Yes.
So you can do that plot. Now let's go back to the help again. And down at the bottom where they had the examples, which is here. Now they tell you how to generate, how to use this plot function. So we can do, so what's this one going to do? Oh, sorry. No, never mind. What's this going to do? Sorry, let's do this. What is that going to do? Well, what is the right-hand side? That's here, right? This list, right? Everyone agree? So all we're doing is
Professor.
assigning this list to this variable. We're going to create a variable called speed, and we're going to assign this list to it. Okay? So let's do that. Everyone understand that? So if I type out speed, what am I going to see? I'm going to see the same thing as here, right? This is speed, and this is the variable speed. Everyone get that? Okay. Now, they didn't do it that way, though. They did it like this. This is the way usually they do it. Instead of saying equal, they use that. But it just means equal. Okay, so you can type equal or you can type that. There's one small time when you can't do that, but you'll never run into that for the first 300 hours that you work with R, or 500 hours that you work with R. You won't run into that. So basically you can type equals or this symbol. I can use this symbol if I want, it still works. So if I want to see what speed is, it's still the same thing. Okay, is everyone okay with that? Okay, let's do this one. What's this going to do? What's that going to do? That's going to create a new variable called distance, right? Is everyone okay with this?
Yes, Professor.
That's one person. Okay, let's see. Let's do a quick poll. I'll ask if everybody is okay with this. Okay, let's see. What happened? Oh. Okay. Let's have a poll. Okay, let's stop it. Okay, here are the results. Too fast, 35%. That's a lot. Boring, 21%. I hate it, 18%. Okay, if you hate it, what's wrong with it? Oh, well, if you hate it, anyway. Okay, so too fast. Okay, let's try slowing down a little bit. Okay. Okay, so let's try slowing down a little bit, although I don't know where to slow down back to. All right, so
I think from cars would be good, like
what?
from cars.
From cars, okay.
Like I remember being okay with like plotting the labels, and then after that was gone.
Okay, actually, what I can do is I can scroll back to cars. So I'll scroll back to cars. So you understand cars?
Yeah.
So what is cars?
Okay, no, I don't understand cars.
Cars is a set of data. I don't even know what it means. This is for some car, I guess, their speed and how far they went. I don't really know what this, I don't know how to get information about this data set. But
I was just confused where we got it from.
yeah, oh, it's just there. There's something we can do called.
So if I just type in cars, it will just come.
Yeah, it'll just be there. Now, if I type in data, there are a bunch of built-in data sets in R. Let's see, if we type in built-in data sets in R, or let's say R Studio. Let's see, what do they say? R built-in data sets. How do I get a list of the built-in data sets in R? Data. Okay, let's try that. Let's try data and see all of the different data sets. Data, open close bracket, that. So these are all the data sets in R. So there's pretty many of them. And one of them is cars, I guess. Hopefully, although I don't see it. There, cars. Okay, so cars is one of them. Everyone see that? Cars? So what is it? Speed and stopping distances. Ah, I see. So depending on how fast you go, it's going to take you longer to stop, right? So that's what this is. Speed and stopping distance. Okay? Is that clear? So going back here, one car was going maybe 4 meters per second or something like that, or kilometers per hour. And how long did it take to stop? Maybe 2 seconds, or I don't know, 2 meters or 2 seconds. And I guess 2 meters. And this was going 4, and it took 10 meters to stop. And this was going 7, and it took 4 meters to stop. Is this clear now?
Yes, Professor. Yeah.
Okay, so now we have this cars data set. Now, if you want to talk about just the first column, you isolate the first column by typing this. So use $sign and the name of the first column. If you want to talk about the second column only, you isolate it by using cars and then $sign and the name of the second column. Is that clear?
Yes.
Is that clear to the person who just asked me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So then we can do plots. We talked about plots already, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we can do plot of car speed versus car distance, just like we did this plot XZ. Now we're doing plot of this one. Remember, X was a list and Z was a list. And this is also a list. Car speed is a list. It's right here. And car distance is also a list. So we can plot those, right? Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay, then what are we doing here? We're just taking car speed and assigning it, taking this list and assigning it to this variable called speed.
Okay.
And we're doing the same thing with distance, taking the distance list and assigning it to this called distance. Is that clear?
Uh-huh.
Okay, now we can plot. Let's plot speed versus distance, okay?
Okay.
Speed, comma, distance. I should use capital for distance. What about speed? Speed should also be capital S. Otherwise, I'll get an error. Okay, so let's do that. And we get that. Is everyone clear about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's go to help, go back to help again. Scroll down to the bottom again. And let's try their plot because I know about just a few of these things. Like, I know what this stands for, XLab. What does XLab stand for?
X-axis.
Yeah, it gives me a label for the x-axis. Y lab stand for?
Y-axis.
Yeah. So I know only those two things. I don't know what the hell all these other things are. So I'm going to get just an example where they use some other stuff too. So here, let's try it. So this is plot, speed, and distance, like what we just did, but they use some other options in here as well. So let's see what happens when we do this. So you can just copy it and drop it in here and paste it in and hit enter. So it looks like that now. Okay, so you can, so there are some other options we can change to make it look like this, right?
Okay.
So some of the, I don't know what these things do. You have to look them up, and they're listed up here or here, but it's not always so clear what all this means. But anyway, it is there and here. But anyway, let's try one more. Let's try this one. this example. Let's try that. Paste that in. I don't know what this is going to do either, but let's try it. Okay, so it gives me a kind of a line that kind of estimates the relationship between speed and distance. Okay, does everyone get that?
Yeah.
I don't know how they did that, but you can do it.
Okay.
And let's go back. Is there anything else they have to do here? So if I just copy all of this, I'll get some other plots, I guess. Now, if you want to see one other thing, you can do, if you want to see a demo of some of the many kinds of plots that R can do, you can type demo graphics, like that, and put your pointer over here. So if you type that, you can see some of just a few of the many types of graphics that you can do with R. So let's just try that. Hit enter. So it says when you're ready to start, type enter. Okay, and then I'm just going to hit enter again. So there's one kind of plot. There's another kind of plot. Hit enter again. There's another kind of plot. Enter again, another kind of plot. Another kind of plot. Another kind of plot. But there are so many different kinds of plots. These are just a small sample. I guess that's all. There's another one. There's another one. Another one. Another one. That's all. Okay, does everyone get it?
Yeah.
Yes, Professor.
What? What did you say?
No, nothing. I just said understood.
Now, there's a great tutorial if you want to learn R well, and it's in RStudio. It's what we call it. So RStudio comes with a whole lot of stuff in it, but there's also many extra things that other people write that you can use, and those are called packages. And there's a package it has a great tutorial. So I'll just show you how to get that. Now I have to remember what it's called. What's it called? I can't remember. Let's see. I'll try to get it here. Just a second. Well, maybe I can find it on the internet. Let's try RStudio package for learning R. Let's see that. Here, it's called Swirl. So let's get Swirl. Now the way that you install a package in R, because it's not in our machine now, but we can download it and put it in our machine. So the way you do that is you go to Tools, Install Packages. So you don't have to do this right now. Just look what I do. So Tools and Install Packages, and it brings this up and you type in Swirl. Don't do it, just follow what I do. And then click Install. And it's going to install it. And there are about 10,000 different packages that are made for R. This is one of them. Okay, so it just installed it. So I think what you have to do is you have to type this first. So I won't, as I said, don't do it now. You have to use this thing called library. Basically what this does is Swirl has been installed in RStudio, but it's not in the computer memory. It's just on the hard drive. So if you want to bring it into the memory, you have to use this library function. So anyway, I'll do that. And now I can just type Swirl. Huh? Uh-oh. I got an error. I don't know what it wants me to do, actually. I think it won't work now. Yeah. What's wrong? Please reinstall R curl. Okay, I'll try it. I don't know what's wrong with this, but maybe I'll try this. So I'll try installing this thing called R curl. Let me try that. So I go back here and install and try R curl and see if this will help. No, something's wrong. I don't know why it's not working. Oh, pack rat. Before it said what? Oh, pack rat. No, I don't know. Here, pack rat was installed. All right, I'll try one more time. I'll try this. Otherwise, what I would suggest, if this doesn't work, is to install an earlier version of R Studio. So this is the latest version, but maybe I would need an earlier version. Okay, let's see what happens. If I do swirl, will it work now? No. Okay, let me try installing swirl one more time. And if it doesn't work, like I said, we would have to go and use a different version of our studio, I guess. Okay, now let me try this library and swirl. Oh, I think it might work now. No. Okay, some problem. So this is maybe one more thing I'll try. R Studio. Yeah. Okay, I'll work on it and do it, show you next time, because it's a really great tutorial for learning R. You can learn a tremendous amount of R in 1 week using this tutorial. But I can't seem to get it to work right now. I don't know what's the problem. So we'll come back and look at that some other time. There could be two things I can think of. One is I should use an earlier version of R Studio, or two is I should use an earlier version of R. So I'll figure that out and show you maybe next time. Okay, I don't want to spend any more time on this. I spent actually much more time than I wanted to. Okay, but anyway, that's a quick introduction to R. The only thing that didn't work so far was using this special package called Swirl, which is just for learning R. And I'm not quite sure why it didn't work, but everything else worked fine. Okay, any questions? Okay,
No, Professor.
I'm going to shut this down. If you want, you can, like if you want to keep all the stuff that we created, like all these variables that we created, you want to save them. When you shut it down, you can click save. Save, that will save all the things that you created, all the variables you created. If you don't want to do that, you can don't save it. Okay, let's go on to our discussions, and that is, let's go to here. Okay, so we'll have a quiz on this section. Now we're going to do chapter 2. Can everybody see this and hear it, I mean?
Yes, Professor, I can see.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, now we're going to do chapter 2. So we can see chapter 2.1, 2.2, 2. And so on. Most of these have to do with summarizing. So we want to summarize data, and we're going to talk about summarizing a categorical variable, then summarizing quantitative variables, and then summarizing two variables together using a table, and then summarizing two variables together using graphical display. So that's what we want to, oh, here. Okay, so let's take a look at that. So we talk about something called a frequency distribution. So here we have some data. What is this? We have a sample of 50 soft drink purchases. So sometimes it's Coke, sometimes it's Diet Coke, sometimes it's Dr. Pepper, and so on. So this is the data. Now this data is clearly not numeric, right? It's a purchase. So we might say the variable is purchase, and the different possible values are not numbers. One possible value for purchase is Coca-Cola. Another possible value for purchase is Diet Coke. Another is Pepsi, and so on. So this is a categorical variable. So how do we summarize this categorical variable, or how can we summarize a categorical variable? So one way to do it is this. So we say how many occurrences of Coca-Cola were there if you count all of them. Turns out there are 19, I guess. How many occurrences of Diet Coke are there if you count all the Diet Cokes? Turns out there are 8. Dr. Pepper, 5, and Sprite, 5. And if you, of course, you sum those all up, you should get the total number of the sample size, the size of the sample, which is 50. So this table here is called a frequency distribution. So it tells you the frequency over each of the possible values that the variable can take on. So it can take on the value of Coca-Cola, Diet Coke, Dr. Pepper, Pepsi, and Sprite. And this is the frequency of each of those. So it's called a frequency distribution for this variable, soft drink purchases. So this is the frequency distribution for the soft drink purchases. Okay, let's have a quick group session. So just very quick though. Don't forget to introduce yourself. And then if anybody doesn't understand the answer, somebody else should try to help out. Okay, so this is the frequency distribution for the soft drink purchases. So this is the frequency distribution for this categorical variable. Okay, I apologize. I ended that a little bit too quickly, I think. But it's okay, I guess. Okay, did everybody get their answer? Anybody not get their answer in yet? Okay, please submit it. Okay, I'm going to shut it. Okay, now let's do a group question. I'm sorry, let's do an individual question. Okay, so you should see that one now. Okay, go ahead and do that one. Okay, 15 seconds. Okay, I'm going to close it. Okay, let's go on.
Would you mind opening it for a little while longer? My phone just crashed.
You're using your phone, okay. Okay, how much longer?
Maybe like 30 seconds or something. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, Professor.
Yes, Professor.
Okay, let's go on to that. Okay, so this is the frequency distribution for the soft drink purchases. So this is the frequency distribution for this categorical variable. So suppose I wanted to know, I asked what percentage of the total purchases is Dr. Pepper. So you can see that there were 5, and the total number of elements in our data set is 50 soft drink purchases. So if there are 5 that were Dr. Pepper, that's 5 out of 50, which is 10%, right? So that would be, we would say that this is 10%. And how about for Sprite? It would also be 10%. And for the other ones, we could figure them out. So in the next section, we talk about doing that. How did we calculate that? We took the 5 and divided it by the 50. Okay, and that's called the relative frequency of the class. So we take the frequency of the class and divide it by the total number of elements in the data set. So here we get those numbers. Here's the 10%, and here's the 10% for this one, and the other ones are given here. And then if you want to talk about the percent frequency, you'd say this is 0.38, so the percentage is 38. This is 0.16, so the percentage is 16. So you could give the percent frequency as well. Okay, so here's the same frequency distribution that we saw originally for this data. So how could we make a picture of this so easily? So we could do this quite easily. We just start out like this. We say Coke, and we said there were 19. We find that, well, we can do the count 19. So we have another axis here, like that. Maybe 19 is over here somewhere. And then we just have a bar here. Goes as high as 19. And then Diet Coke is 8. So we'd have some 8 here, something like that, and so on. So this we can do. And so this would be called a bar chart. So we have Coca-Cola at 19 and Diet Coke somewhere else, and Dr. Pepper somewhere else, Pepsi somewhere else, and Sprite somewhere else. And they do a sorted bar chart, so we don't really have to keep this order. This was sort of an arbitrary order. So we could put Coke first, but then we could put Pepsi second, and we could put Diet Coke third, and so on. So we could reorder it like that. We can also do what's called a pie chart, which looks like this. So it says Coke has 38% and Pepsi has 26%, and so on. And we could do this picture as well. Okay. Okay, if you want to do something like this in Excel, here I just made up a similar data set. It's not the same numbers, but similar data set. So you just go to Insert, and then there are a lot of charts here. You can use a recommended chart, or you can just click any of them here. Let's see. So you can either choose the recommended one. So here's a recommended one. You can go to all, like that. You can get all many different types, but if we just stick with the recommended, we have this one, I guess, which is here. And click OK, and we get that. So that's basically what they showed us as the frequency distribution. And again, if we want to do it again, we can go to Insert again. And this time we can try recommended. And this one, we get that. Now it doesn't label them. So if you want to get the, we can move around here and you can see what the labels are. But I guess you have to right click on it and do some other stuff in here to get the labels on these pieces. Those are probably optional. And then if you want to get the relative frequency, then you might, first you're going to need to know the total number of elements here, because remember we had to divide each of these by the total number. You can get the total number by going to the Home ribbon and then going over here to Auto Sum. This is one way to do it. And just click Auto Sum, or you can choose from the options here. But we want the sum. You could get the average and these things, but we just want the sum. So we'll go here and hit enter. So the total is 30. So now we can do, we can write equals. You have to write equals this divided by this. Okay, and that will give you the relative frequency for that one. Okay, so what's wrong with doing that?
Dollar sign.
Yeah. If we want to copy it down, we're going to need the dollar sign. Then you could do equals this divided by this again. And that will give you that one. Now, you might want to just drag this down. Unfortunately, that doesn't work. Watch. When I drag this down, I get these, which don't seem to work. The reason is because when I drag it down, it's calculating. So let's check this. This one was D3 divided by D8. That's good. This one was, oh, sorry, here's D3 divided by D8, right? This is D8. That's what we wanted. Here, this one is what? D4 divided by D8. That's also what we want. D4 is here, divided by this one, D8. That's what we want. But here, when we do this, what's it doing? D5, we do want D5, and it's dividing but by D9. That's not what we want. We want it to keep dividing by D8. So when you do this kind of dragging down, when I click here and I drag down, or if I click here and I drag down, it increments not only the so the 4 becomes a 5, right? You see let me show you that again. The 4 becomes a 5. That's good. But the 8 becomes a 9. That we don't want. We want that 8 to stay 8. So now it's 9. We don't want that. In fact, here it becomes 10, and here it becomes 11. We don't want any of those because that's here, here, and here. We don't want any of those. So what you need to do in order to get Excel not to do that is it's kind of a strange thing, but put a dollar sign in front of that, the thing that you don't want to change. So I don't want the 8 to change when I drag down using this kind of drag down process. Now, if I use the dollar sign in front of there, it still works here. It's still going to give me the right number. If I hit enter, that's the same number that we had before. So basically it ignores the dollar sign, except for the dragging down function, where it keeps it constant. So now if I drag down, I get what I wanted, because this is still 8. This one is also still 8. And this one is also still 8. So now it works. And in fact, we can check by taking the sum of these. Since these are the percentages, the sum should add up to 1. So let's make sure. Just click here and click enter, and it's 1. Okay, so we can, then we could also make a bar graph with this data. I guess might be good too. So one thing you might want to do is delete this column, but that's going to, well, let's do it. Watch. When we delete this column, the other one is going to get messed up. Why is it going to get messed up? Because when I delete this column, the calculations were based on this column, and this column is going to disappear. So this is, we're going to have an error in this column, but let's just see that. So go to here and delete. It says we're referring to something that's wrong. So let's undo that here. And what you can do instead is, so we have these values, we calculated them. You can copy them and then repaste them back in here, but not as the formula, but just the values themselves. So once I do this, which I'm going to do like this pasting here repastes just the values. So once I do that, now if I check in these cells, I don't have those formulas anymore, I just have the values. So it's not a formula anymore. Now, if I delete this, I won't get that problem, hopefully. Seem to have a problem, but oh well, let's just leave it. Okay, it seems like it's right. This, of course, doesn't seem to be good. I don't know what happened here, but we can try now to make, let's give this a name. Let's call this relative frequency. And we can do this and make it insert in the chart. This time, it's going to look pretty similar to the other one here. But these are going to be percentages now. Before they weren't percentages. Okay, so you can do this kind of thing in Excel. Okay, so what if we have a quantitative variable like this? So here they say the year-end audit times. And this is it shows the time in days required to complete year-end audits for a sample of 20 clients of this company. Okay, so let me quickly just explain. So this is some company that does audits of other companies. So the name of this company is Sanderson and Clifford, and they do audits of other companies' books. So like what that, so that's kind of a long process. You can't just go there and do that in 5 seconds. You have to, I don't know, you have to go to many different departments and talk to different people and say, how did you calculate this? And is it really legal what you did? And all this stuff. So it takes a long time. So the data set is going to show for 20 different of their clients how many days these guys spent doing the audit of these 20 different clients. So it took 12 days for them to complete the audit for one company. It took 15 days for them to complete the audit of another company. It took them 20 days to complete the audit of a third company, and so on. And there are 20, let's see, there's 4 by 5, yeah, 5 by 4, so there's 20 elements in this data set. Now, suppose we want to make a frequency distribution for this kind of data. So basically, this is what we're aiming at. So what this distribution
So here,
for
this is, we want to have a frequency distribution. Before, the last time, we had data that looked like Pepsi and the Coca-Cola and Sprite and so on, but these are numbers. So what we want to do is block them into groups. So we do that here. So we make a group from 10 to 14, we count how many are there. We make another group from 15 to 19, how many are there, and so on. And then we end up with, you can watch this later or you can read it in the book, but we end up with this frequency distribution like this.
and we can do different things with this frequency distribution. First of all, we have to decide how many of these classes we should have. So this is the first class, the second class, the third class, the fourth class, the fifth class, or the first interval, the second interval, the third interval, the fourth, and the fifth. This is also called the first bin, the second bin, the third bin, the fourth bin. So you have to decide how many you want, how wide each bin should be, and so on. They discuss that in here. It's not very important, but it's discussed in there. And then, so let's go on to the next video. Largest possible value. So the next video just tells you how to
we just did
switch
the
from
frequency distribution for a quantity,
switch from
so on.
from here to relative frequencies, and that's pretty obvious. You just take the 4 divided by the 20, the 8 divided by the 20, and so on. So you get this, 4 divided by 20, 8 divided by 20, and so on. So that's fairly obvious. The next thing, though, is...
So here is
okay.
another way.
So this is a dot plot, which is a picture. You can read this in the book also. This is a picture of that data. So there was one audit that took, this is 12 hours. There was one audit that took 13 hours. There were 2 audits that took 14 hours. There were 2 audits that take 15 hours. There was one audit that took like 33 hours maybe. So this is a picture of the data, and it's a little bit more useful than if you had just the data itself, right? If you had just these numbers, you don't really have a very good idea of what this data looks like. But if you go back to this, this thing, you get a much better idea. So you can see that the data goes from about 12 to 33, and most of it is between, say, whatever this is, 12 to 25 or something like that. Okay, so this is a visualization of the data. Okay, let's go on one more.
In this way. Okay, so here's another way, another visualization, another way to display the same data. This is the same audit time data. And
okay, so this is just a, like the bar chart, the difference between this and the bar chart is that there's no separation between the first bar and the second bar and the third bar and the fourth bar and the fifth bar. So this is called a histogram. So I'll just expect that you can read this as well in the book. And I want to just want to go to one more topic here.
Okay, let's keep going. So let's look at some examples of different histograms. So histograms showing different levels of what's called skewness. So we have this histogram, this histogram, this histogram, and this histogram. So, well, let's take this one first. So this one, we can call it symmetric, right? If you draw a vertical line through the center here, and you fold this piece over here, you get, they match, right? So we say it's symmetric around this line, or about this line, around this line. Okay, but none of the other ones there's no symmetry. There's no symmetry there. So you might think of this one as like starting like this and then kind of pulling this out to the right. So you get something like this. So this is called skewed to the right. Okay, so when we have something that looks kind of like this, which is like this one but dragged to the right, we call it skewed to the right. And here, this one, it looks like this one, but then you drag it to the left. This is called skewed to the left. So they say this.
So if it's skewed to the left, we call this the tail. So the tail is to the left. And if it's skewed to the right, the tail is to the right.
This one is moderately skewed to the left. This one is moderately skewed to the right. This one is symmetric. And this one, they say, is highly skewed to the right. I guess it's more skewed than this one. They say one of the most important uses of a histogram is to provide information about the shape, it's the shape, or form of a distribution. So this is they use the word distribution here because, let's go back to this one,
these are the audit times, and we can sort of see how the audit times are distributed or where they are. So you can see that there's a lot in here, and there's a little in here, and there's a moderate amount in here, and so on. So we use the word distributed, how it's distributed, where the data is located. Okay? So they're saying these are distributed in different ways, right? This one is distributed in a symmetric way, whereas this one is distributed where sort of some of the stuff is pulled all the way over to the left, or this one is pulled way over to the right, and so on. So let's read what they say. Okay, and I guess maybe even data for SAT scores. The average height for the class, there are going to be some people that are much taller, some people that are much shorter. Probably it's going to look something like this. Lead to histograms that are roughly symmetric. So that's interesting. So when you look at real data, you never expect it. The left tail mirrors the shape of the right tail. So this part looks like this part. Histograms for data found in applications are never perfectly symmetric. So when you look at real data, you never expect it to be perfectly symmetric, but the histogram for many applications may be roughly symmetric. Data for SAT scores. I guess this is B. Okay, let's take a look at this. So they say the symmetric ones, I'm sorry, this histogram here is like if a teacher gives a test, the data might look like this. So what does that mean? So you're going to get, like, maybe this is like a score of 80. This is a score of like 80. And so you're going to get some people with, most people will have about 80. Some people will be in the 90s range. Some people will be 70. And then fewer and fewer will have very low scores. So it might look like this. Doesn't have to look like this, but it might. On the other hand, this one, they say, is for like housing prices. So this might be like a $100,000 house, and this might be 150,000, 200. So you will get some houses way out here that are very expensive, but most of them will be sort of in this range, and the housing prices will tend to be skewed to the right. So so often we'll see housing prices and also people's incomes in a country, like the income distribution of people in Japan will be kind of skewed like this. So there'll be some people who are very rich, but not so many. Okay, and this is again for like, for example, test scores might look like this. Okay, and we also have the other examples of the other ones. So I'll ask you to read through this material in the book, and you will have homework on this material for next week. And in terms of the Khan Academy material, it'll be considerably less than it has been up to now, because we've sort of gone too far ahead in Khan Academy, so we don't have to go do nearly as much right now in order to synchronize with what we're doing in the book. Okay, any questions?
Professor,
Yes.
so we don't have Khan Academy homework this week.
No,
Is
you
it?
will have some, but not
That much.
limited.
And also for the web assign, you're going to change the date.
Yes,
That is,
I'm going to change the date and yes, I'm going to give you only what we covered in class today, but up to this section here.
okay.
Okay, up to figure 2.7 here. You can find it in the book. Okay?
Yes, Professor.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, Professor.
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 Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, Professor.
Adios.
Professor,
Yes, sir.
I have a question about the web assign questions.
Yes, sir.
So when you click on the details option on top of each question, it says that if you have more than one attempt, it's gonna cut 3% of the point.
Yeah.
So 3% of the total or 3% of that question?
Oh no, just 3% of that question.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Professor,
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
I had a question about the code for WebAssign.
Yes, yes.
So I bought the code from the co-op, but I'm still not sure where I'm supposed to put the code.
I think you're supposed to have put it in. Did you try recently?
Yeah, I looked it up yesterday as well, but I'm not sure. There isn't really a slot.
Oh, okay.
To put it.
Are you free in next period?
Yes, Professor.
Okay, can you send me a quick email and we'll do a Zoom session and check it out. I have to leave right now, but I can do it in about 15 minutes if that's okay.
Yeah, thank you, Professor.
So send me a quick and we'll check it out, okay?
Okay, thank you, Professor.
Professor.
Yes, sir.
So last time I think I talked about the Khan Academy problem. So last time when you send the invitation for this class, you first send the third period one. So I click that one, right? So my problem is basically if I do the homework in Khan Academy, it's sometimes regarded as the third. I finished the third period one. Do you remember? I think I told you. Yeah, so last time your solution, I mean, you said that you're going to delete third period one in my Khan Academy, but
I see. Maybe what you should do is maybe you can delete it, and I'll just give you full credit for those other ones.
But I mean, if I delete right now, it means that.
No, I'll give you full credit for the ones that you did on the wrong period.
Oh, okay. It's just so you mean just delete by myself?
Yeah, it would be better. Actually, yeah.
Okay.
I'll give you full credit. I'll even send you an email stating that officially. So let me do that right now. Just a second. I'll send you an email so that you have proof that I promised. So what's your, let's see, your email. What's your email? APU email.
Should I type?
No, just tell me the beginning of it.
HYEO.
YO. You're not Kim. You're someone else. HYEO. YO.
18.
18 at APU. Okay.
Yep.
So let me repeat. HYEO YO 18.
Yep.
Okay. Credit for Khan for first 3 weeks. Okay. Okay, I'll send this to you now.
Okay.
Okay, so you can delete it.
Okay, I'll try to find out the.
Yeah, if you can't delete it yourself, then tell me next time and I'll delete it.
Okay. Thank you, Professor. Yep.
Try to delete it. I think you should be able to delete it for sure.
Okay.
All right?
Yep. Thank you, Professor.
But don't delete the wrong one, of course.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.